The IDF has been heavily engaged with terrorists in the Gaza Strip over the past 24 hours, eliminating hundreds in fierce battle. Elsewhere, the security situation in Judea and Samaria, as well as the northern border region, are heating up fast. The Air Force struck deep inside Lebanon in response to a drone strike on IDF positions near the border. Let's dive into the details. I'm Yair Pinto, and this is your boots on the ground report about what is happening in Israel on this 223rd day of the war with Hamas, Hezbollah, and Iran. The floating pier construction by the United States military off the coast of Gaza is set to be in operation very soon, possibly even this Friday. A large quantity of humanitarian aid has already been stockpiled in Cyprus and is currently being inspected and loaded on ships for the short trip down to this pier, where it will be loaded onto trucks and moved into Gaza City, where it will be received and distributed by the World Food Programme and the United Nations. Anyway, that's the plan. Let's hope it works as it is supposed to, and the civilians who need this aid will get it, and not Hamas or some criminal gang. In any case, Vice Admiral Bradley Cooper, Deputy Commander of U.S. Central Command, CENTCOM, emphasized that the United States military's only role is to provide our unique logistical capability to bring in more aid. When asked what would happen if Hamas attacked American soldiers on the floating dock, he replied, "Any attack on the workers in the mission is an attack on the aid to the residents of Gaza." While this is happening in the northern sector of the Gaza Strip, let us remember that the flow of humanitarian aid through the Rafah crossing in the southern part of Gaza has been halted after the IDF took control of the Gaza side of the crossing. The Egyptians immediately declared that they were closing the crossings due to the IDF activity on the Gaza side. The IDF responded that the Egyptians had no reason to close the crossing from their side and offered to turn over control of the Gaza side to the Palestinian Authority. But the Palestinian Authority flatly refused to take this responsibility, so the crossing is closed and everyone is blaming everyone else. If you're interested in knowing what is happening in Israel or in this region, please subscribe to this YouTube channel and like our videos. It helps us reach more and more people. Keeping our focus in northern Gaza, overnight Tuesday and into Wednesday morning, there was a fierce battle in the Zeitoun neighborhood in the southern part of Gaza City. Soldiers from the IDF's Nahal Brigade raided the central headquarters of Hamas in this area, eliminating several terrorists, including senior commanders, as well as confiscating large cache of weapons and ammunition. But the price was high, as 5 soldiers were killed and 19 more were wounded, some in a serious condition. This may seem strange that the IDF is having to fight Hamas in Gaza City, since this area was supposed to be cleared out of all Hamas terrorists months ago. But Hamas appears to have been preparing to launch a guerrilla campaign if its large field formations were defeated, as has already happened. Now, they are using their extensive network of tunnels to infiltrate back into areas that were previously cleared to try and reassert their presence in these locations. Because of this, the IDF intelligence believes that forces will have to return to Zeitoun again in less than a month. This might sound like the old routine of mowing the grass, where the IDF conducted an operation in Gaza every few years to destroy enough of the military capability of Hamas to make them settle down for a short while. However, circumstances have drastically changed, and now we can say that this strategy is meant to utterly defeat Hamas and permanently remove the threat it poses to Israel. Let me explain further. In the months of November and December of 2023, the IDF was pushing hard in the western neighborhoods of Gaza City, such as Rimal and Sheikh Ejlin, toward the eastern neighborhoods of Sajaiya and Daraj, through Zeitoun. In the process, they destroyed most of the highly trained and equipped Hamas forces in the area, with some of them managing to escape and retreat further south to fight another day. But this battalion that the IDF has been battling in recent days was a newly formed unit made up of fighters who are not as well trained or equipped. That doesn't mean they weren't dangerous, however, because they used some really dirty tricks. This includes placing themselves in a compound of 3 schools and 2 adjacent clinics, one of which belongs to the United Nations Relief and Work Agency for Palestinian Refugees, UNRWA, and surrounded by dozens of narrow streets filled with IEDs ready and prepared for the IDF's third raid on the neighborhoods. This compound also housed thousands of Gazan civilians which the Hamas terrorists used as their human shields. Hamas gathered their fighters there, as well as large quantities of weapons and ammunition which they hoped to use to inflict large numbers of casualties on the IDF soldiers. Hamas learned a lot from the previous battles, but so did the IDF. Among those lessons was that the rapid entry of the forces into a Hamas position caused both the terrorists and their civilian human shields to flee rapidly, often leaving behind their weapons and ammunition. During this raid into Zeitoun, the IDF found the weapons it was expecting to find, but it also found large quantities of food and medical supplies that Hamas had stolen from the humanitarian aid organizations and stockpiled it in their hideouts. According to friends of mine who participated in this raid, one of the main threats the IDF faces in these raids is from snipers. After 8 months of combat, the IDF troops sometimes get careless and expose themselves to enemy fire. The need to stay sharp is demonstrated by the growing list of soldiers hit by snipers, and it's something every soldier has in mind every day as they are in the Gaza Strip. However, even the best and most alerted soldiers can have a bad day. 5 IDF soldiers were killed and several others wounded during this raid in 2 separate incidents. The first saw 4 soldiers killed as they attempted to navigate the narrow alleys of the neighborhoods. In a separate incident, at almost the same time, an IDF soldier surprised 2 Hamas terrorists, and in the ensuing gunfight, a soldier was hit and one of the terrorists was also hit while his friend ran away and presumably survived. Once again, I will remind you how important it is to take an active part in spreading the truth. Share and follow us and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Once again, I will remind you how important it is to take an active part in spreading the truth, because this war is fought on multiple fronts, and sadly, Israel is losing the front for the public's opinion. So if you'd like to see more videos like this, please consider making a financial donation by clicking the donate button on this YouTube channel or going to our website at www.tbn.org/Israel. Shifting our focus to Judea and Samaria, specifically the Palestinian Authority administrated cities of Kalkilia and Tulkarem, where the IDF launched targeted raids in the past 24 hours to arrest Hamas operatives known to be active in the funding of terrorism. These terrorists didn't want to go quietly, and a battle broke out in which gunfire and grenades were directed at the IDF troops. The IDF returned fire, and according to the Palestinian news agency Rafah, several Palestinian men were hit, with 3 suffering mortal wounds. Shifting now to the northern front, where the IDF is battling Hezbollah terrorists. On Wednesday, the Israeli Air Force launched attacks on the launching locations from which a barrage of 60 rockets, which Hezbollah fired at the IDF radar station on the Mount Meron in the northern part of Israel. Earlier, the Air Force attacked a military structure associated with Hezbollah's Radwan forces in Jebel Ghazlan, alongside a military structure of the terrorist organization in the area of Lidach in southern Lebanon. A Hezbollah UAV also hit near the Golani Junction in the lower Galilee, causing damage to an Air Force position. At the same time, an alarm was sounded in an Israeli village in the lower Galilee. In response, the Air Force attacked a site for the production of rockets and aircrafts belonging to Hezbollah in Lebanon, and the IDF defines this as a significant attack. This follows a drone strike launched towards the Tiberias area, along with a barrage of about 60 rockets towards the Upper Galilee on Tuesday. I want to conclude by paying my respects to 5 heroes who were killed in a friendly fire incident during the IDF raid in Jabalia. This morning, the IDF spokesman announced the publication of their 5 names. Captain Roy Beit Yaakov, 22 years of age, from Miali. Sergeant Daniel Chamo, 20 years old, from Tiberias. Sergeant Ilan Cohen, 20 years old, from Carmiel. And Sergeant Bezalel David Shashua, 21 years of age, from Tel Aviv. 8 more soldiers were wounded in the incident, 3 of whom are in serious condition. The rest were taken to hospitals in medical and light conditions. This accident is being investigated, but initial reports indicated that the tanks were coming under heavy RPG fire from terrorists in the area, obscuring the view of the crew and allowing a terrorist to fire on one tank from close to the position of another tank. This caused the tank crew to return fire at the terrorists and hit their own comrades. The IDF issued a statement that the incident will be thoroughly investigated and lessons will be learned so similar incidents won't happen again in the future. Please join us in prayer for the situation. Pray for the IDF soldiers who are fighting in Gaza on the northern border with Hezbollah and basically defending this nation. Pray for the truth to reach as far as possible and as many people to understand what really is happening here. Pray for the civilians on both sides of this conflict. And please join us in prayer for the peace of Jerusalem.
Hello, this is Mati here in Jerusalem with TBN Israel.
This is Yair Pinto from TBN Israel here in Jerusalem. TBN Israel is keeping viewers informed with Israel-focused news, culture, and what God is doing in this land.
Support TBN Israel today online at tbn.org/Israel. Thank you.